What do you look for in a neighborhood if you want to make a good investment?
Yeah.
I mean, does that even fall into that good, bad type thing, or how does that work?
It definitely does. So a few weeks ago,
John Brodeen, realty expert with Berkshire Hathaway. Here we go. How you doing, man?
Good. How about you?
Good. Long time no see, a whole 2 days.
Yeah, I know, right?
You know, when you were in a couple of weeks ago, John, we talked about good and bad neighborhoods. And let's face it, all towns have them. You know, and when we're talking good and bad neighborhoods, it's just exactly what it says. You know, but what I'd like to know, what do you look for in a neighborhood if you want to make a good investment?
Yeah.
I mean, does that even fall into that good, bad type thing, or how does that work?
It definitely does. So a few weeks ago, I did a breakdown. I broke the city of Grand Forks into, I think it was 21 different neighborhoods. And this is stuff I've kind of had in my mind just from experience of, you know, these different neighborhoods, how they've done with values and all that kind of thing.
Sure.
But and so I broke down basically every neighborhood by average sale price, median sale price, you know, median price per square foot, average price per square foot, all that kind of stuff. I made video series on the a couple of video series on this as well, where I broke down the top 5 most expensive neighborhoods in Grand Forks, the top 5 cheapest neighborhoods in Grand Forks, the top 5 best neighborhoods for appreciation. I looked at how much each neighborhood appreciated from 2018 to 2023.
Oh, okay.
Also looked up the neighborhoods that performed the poorest in appreciation. So the worst 5 neighborhoods for appreciation in Grand Forks.
Okay.
And so I was able to kind of come up with some common themes and some takeaways from this. If people are interested, I have a whole PDF that breaks all of this down. If they send me a text at 701-213-5428 or an email at johnbrodeenrealtor@gmail.com, I can send you this PDF so you can check it all out for yourselves. If you're a homeowner or if you're thinking about buying a home, it could be valuable information for you.
That must have taken you a while.
It did.
To do all of that, but that's kind of the way you're wired, though, isn't it?
You know, I got into it, and at first I thought it would be a quick little thing. I'd pull some numbers and get some of this information I was looking for, and then I got further into it, and I was like, okay, well, I really should break it up into more neighborhoods because these are too big, and you know, then all of a sudden it turns into this big thing.
Pretty soon it's a mission.
Yeah, but hey, it's a little bit slower time of year for us. So,
Sure.
And it's something that...
But this is good stuff to know.
It's good stuff for me to know, and it's good stuff to be able to give to my clients.
Exactly.
So they can make
and
a
how many other realtors are doing that stuff?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they can just copy mine. A lot of, you know, that's fine with me.
Yeah, there you go.
A lot of realtors tell me they watch my market updates so they know what's going on in the market. So that's a nice compliment.
So those are the lazy ones.
Yeah. Well, there's some really good ones that have told me that, actually. I don't mind it at all.
Studio pretty soon.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
So some takeaways, and this is stuff I've mentioned before, but ways you can use this information I've put out. If you don't want to buy a home that's much more expensive than what most of the homes are in that neighborhood. You do want to buy a home where the other homes in the neighborhood are at similar price point or higher. So, and now if my information says, you know, the neighborhood's average sale price is $230, there's some exceptions where there's a couple streets that are high priced in the neighborhood or something like that. So I can dig further into this with you and help you understand like what this, you know.
Sure.
But as a general rule of thumb, it's a safer bet to buy something in a neighborhood where the majority of the homes are just as expensive or more expensive than your home.
Right.
Sometimes the cheapest neighborhood in town is the cheapest for a reason. I'll get into this more later. But you know, the cheapest neighborhood doesn't mean it's a great deal. Doesn't mean it's an awesome place to live. You know.
Well, you know, you get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for. Exactly. So another thing I noticed with the neighborhoods that performed more poorly with appreciation, it's best not to buy a home that's super close to low rent apartments, trailer parks, maybe low rent single family homes or duplexes. You know, buying a home that's in a newer neighborhood there's a big brand new apartment close by is not such a bad thing, because I wouldn't say it's a bad thing at all. You know, it's better if you could be surrounded by only single family homes, but being really close to a bunch of low rent rundown apartments is not going to be
No. The new apartments are all pretty nice and up to snuff, you know.
And if you're buying in a low price point, you might not have much of a choice.
Sure.
But especially if you're in like that median sale price or higher, I would avoid neighborhoods that have a high concentration of those sort of things.
Yep.
So definitely buy a house that is mostly surrounded by other single family homes. That's going to be a great bet, even if it's not single family, but it's townhomes, twin homes, something like that.
Yep.
More owner occupied homes. Usually the values, what I found in the neighborhoods that have mostly owner occupied homes, did better with appreciation. Neighborhoods with plenty of new construction really seem to appreciate well. They're in the path of development. There's lots of stuff happening. There's new homes. They're generally newer neighborhoods, so you're going to have fewer like rundown older homes in those neighborhoods because a house can only, even if somebody takes terrible care of it, it can only get so bad when it's 5 years old.
Yeah.
So I noticed that as well. In general, neighborhoods further south or further west, basically further away from downtown, are nicer, more expensive, and there are just a couple exceptions there. There's some expensive streets like, say, Reeves and Almonte.
Yeah,
for
well,
example.
I mean, the newer houses are to the south. I mean, we're not growing to the north,
Exactly.
so and the west.
Yeah, and there's the neighborhood west of the interstate, like on the north end's not so bad. It's newer and smaller homes than most newer neighborhoods. Lower prices than most new neighborhoods. The only problem out there, at least for me, if I was shopping for a home, is it's a little bit isolated. It's kind of far away from everything else.
Yep.
So, and then also school districts. I actually forgot to write that down on this, but school districts are a big one.
Yes.
The majority of home buyers, a lot of home buyers have families.
Yep.
And that's not saying all home buyers have families, but when you're selling your home, a large pool of the buyers are also going to be families. So they're going to care about school districts. There's other stuff they're going to care about too. Like we were saying earlier, especially just now, a lot of buyers are families. This is something nobody wants to talk about, but a high concentration of sex offenders. I noticed there's a couple neighborhoods that have the highest concentration of sex offenders when you look at the map.
Yep.
I would encourage every buyer out there, especially if you have a family, to look up this on there's a website you can go to see it all. And I wanted to see kind of if that correlated too, because we're talking about other things that bring down value. If you have, if you've got one dot here, one dot there, it's not the end of the world. I mean, those could be in very nice neighborhoods still.
Yeah, and some people might have to carry that label.
Yeah.
But find out the story first.
Yep, you can see all that on that website.
Yeah.
But I mean, if your neighborhood is just ... then
that's
a
a red flag.
Yeah, and so there's neighborhoods in town that didn't do very well. Like the neighborhood that did the worst on appreciation also had the highest concentration of sex offenders.
Sure.
And that kind of makes sense if you think about it, because families aren't as likely to want to move there, and that's a large portion of the home buyer pool.
Yep.
So, and it's also so that's part of the thing that could keep those neighborhoods down in value. On a happier note, neighborhoods with more like bike trails, parks, stuff to do outside, tended to do pretty well.
Near schools,
Yeah, and in our area, there's schools and there's all those neighborhood elementary schools. So almost every neighborhood has a school, but especially what I noticed was with bike trails. Some of those kind of centrally located that are kind of landlocked between Washington and Columbia. There's a couple of those didn't do so well. They don't have as many bike trails and stuff. Neighborhoods that a lot of the higher priced neighborhoods had a lot of bike trails. Just because the near north neighborhood has the Greenway close by doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. But those neighborhoods that are nicer, further away from downtown, that have a lot of that stuff, seem to do really well, seem to be more expensive as well. Golf courses, parks, bike trails are all kind of indicators of solid neighborhoods. Other things, like being close to Choice Fitness, being close to Kings Walk Golf Course or the Country Club or, what else? We got, out there, you've kind of got a lot of stuff. You got that Shield Sports Complex.
Sure.
You've got Uland Park Baseball Diamonds. So a lot of those Icon Sports arenas, hockey arenas. So when you've got a lot of those sort of things, that's an attraction to people for sure. And then this is just a more basic thing, and this is not something that you can really come to this conclusion from the research I did. But when you're checking out a neighborhood and you're thinking about buying a house, check out the neighboring houses. And it's a little bit of a red flag if a lot of the neighboring houses are really run down and poorly maintained. You're going to see this more in older neighborhoods.
If you have towels for curtains, you might want to check.
All your paint's chipped and peeling off your house. Your roof is 45 years old. You know, your gutter's hanging off, your bushes are pushing up against your house. Like, you can tell the signs of a poorly maintained home. Lawn looks bad. Landscaping looks terrible. Like, you can tell when a house hasn't been maintained. If you see a lot of those around, and this is mostly for people buying in older neighborhoods, but there's plenty of older neighborhoods where you go and look at a house, and the neighborhood, even though it's older homes, they've all been really nicely updated. They've got new roofs. They've got new sidings. Look at that siding, not sidings.
Yeah.
But look at that right away. You can spot that. Those are people who they've invested into their home. They've got pride of ownership. They care. You know, you go to an older neighborhood and maybe it's a beautiful home, but then the neighbor's house, there's a broken down car parked in the front yard. The gutter's hanging down and almost hitting your house. Their paint is all gone because it's chipped and peeled off. It looks like the house should be demolished. That's stuff that's out of your control, and I would try to avoid it if you can.
You know, when I was talking with Adam last week, and we were talking about how people now are kind of flocking to the Midwest, getting sick and tired of the West Coast, East Coast, whatever.
Sure.
And you know, let's just see even if you were on the line, just kind of getting an idea what housing prices are around here. A lot of people are going to freak out because the prices compared to what they might be out in California. You know, it's amazing. What then all of a sudden they might not realize that, well, some of these you might not want to move to that neighborhood. I know these prices are, but so is that just something you talk about if they call you and say, you know, I did see some stuff I'm interested in, and will you tell them right off the bat, well, we'll go take a spin by there, but I don't think you're going to like it.
Yeah, and one thing I recommend all buyers I'm working with too is if maybe they got a list of 10 homes they saw online that they're kind of interested, I'm like, hey, pick a evening or a weekend, go drive through all those neighborhoods and see which ones you like, see which ones you don't. I can give them information on schools. I can give them this neighborhood information on appreciation, price growth, average sale price, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, what you were saying, I mean, it's crazy. I think the national median sale price is something in like the $450,000 range. Yeah. And a $450,000 home here is, you know, like
pretty nice place.
Yeah, it's like $150,000 more than the median sale price here. Yeah. So it gets you a nice home here.
Sure.
You know, in a lot of places, it doesn't get you a very nice home. And you know, there's a lot of attractive things when you compare Grand Forks to other cities that are about this size. There's a lot of attractive things about Grand Forks. All the outdoor stuff there is to do, especially in the summer, all the bike trails.
And they keep building more stuff.
Yeah. It's people can enjoy a pretty nice quality of life here.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not a huge city either, which I'm not a big fan of the big cities. I've done that, been there. I'd like it here a lot better.
Yeah, I've never lived in a big city. I like traveling to big cities for vacations, but I don't know.
Yeah, they're fun to drive through.
Yeah,
and hang out for a week.
I like to, you know, I like walking around in a downtown in a big city. And
sure.
Like see all the nice big buildings, but I don't know if I could handle a 40-minute commute to work every day or something like that. No,
and anytime you want to park, whether it be for a half hour or for 5 hours, it's minimum of $20. Oh, yeah. You know, and I'm no thank you.
Yeah. It's nice to visit though.
So now, if you are looking for a neighborhood to make a good investment, get a hold of a realty expert like John here. Yeah. I mean, you know, we talked the other day about flipping your first home. Now, you know, also making a good investment. All of this stuff matters, you know, whether you're either looking to flip or you're looking for a place to live, it all does matter. It does. And neighborhoods are a huge part of that. Now, if somebody wants to find out more, if somebody's thinking about buying or selling here in the Grand Forks, East Grand Forks area, and they want to get a hold of a realty expert, how do they get a hold of you, John Brodeen?
Yeah, 701-213-5428. John Brodeen Realtor is my email. Send me a text or an email if you want that PDF showing the breakdown of all that neighborhood information, because it's super valuable if you're thinking about buying a home or if you live in Grand Forks and own a home already. And go ahead and follow me on social media if you want to become a client. 701-213-5428.
Have yourself a great weekend, man.
Yeah, you too, John. Thanks.
All right, there we go. We will talk to John again in a couple of weeks. There you go for the week. Your Berkshire Hathaway bi-weekly podcast with realty expert John Brodeen in the books. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.